Have you ever stared into a fire and felt like something was staring back? It's a feeling that goes deeper than just watching embers dance. It's a strange sense of recognition, a quiet hum of familiarity in your very bones. You feel it when you sit around a campfire with friends, the world outside disappearing into the darkness, leaving only the circle of warmth and light. You feel it when you light a single candle in a dark room, and suddenly the space feels less empty, more alive. This feeling isn't an accident, it's a memory your soul holds on to, a connection to something ancient and powerful that humanity has honored since the beginning of time. We have forgotten why we are so drawn to the flame. We see it as a tool for cooking or a source of heat, a chemical reaction. But the old world didn't just see fire, they communed with it. They understood that the fire burning outside was a mirror to a fire burning within each of us. This quiet, persistent pull you feel is the call of your own inner fire, reminding you that there is more to you than just flesh and bone. It's a silent invitation to remember a part of yourself you may not have even known was lost. Today, we are going to walk a path back to that ancient understanding. We will explore the hidden meaning of sacred fire, not as a history lesson, but as a journey inward. We will talk about why alchemists saw fire as the key to transformation, changing not lead into gold, but changing the very essence of the self. We'll uncover how ancient traditions viewed fire as the physical manifestation of spirit, the bridge between our world and the unseen realms. And we will seek to understand the profound idea of the eternal flame, the spark of the divine that lives within you, a light that can never be extinguished, no matter how dark the world gets. This is about remembering what your soul already knows, that you carry a sacred fire inside of you. If this feeling of searching for a deeper connection is familiar to you, let us know in the comments below. This space is a fire circle of its own, a place where we can share the thoughts that often remain in the quiet of our own minds. By sharing, you remind another that they are not alone in their journey. And if you wish to continue these explorations with us, subscribe to our vault. We are here to uncover the wisdom that waits within. The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, who saw the universe in a constant state of flow and change, said, "This world order, the same of all, no god nor man did create, but it ever was and is and will be an ever-living fire." What Heraclitus was pointing to is something profound. He wasn't just talking about a physical fire. He was describing the very nature of reality, of life itself, as a process of constant transformation, a cosmic fire that creates, consumes, and renews everything. He reminds us that fire is not just an element, it is the living, breathing essence of existence. The universe is not a static thing, it's a dynamic, burning process. And since you are a part of the universe, that same ever-living fire is the essence of you. It is the force that pushes you to grow, to change, and to become. So let us go deeper now, beyond the veils of the modern world, and feel the truth of these ancient embers. Section 1. The outer fire as a mirror. Why we can't look away. Let's begin with something every one of us knows. With the simple act of gazing into a fire. Why is this experience so universal? Why is it that, regardless of culture or time, a human being can sit for hours, mesmerized by the dance of the flame? The answer is simple and yet profound. Because when you look at a fire, you are not just seeing a fire. You are seeing a mirror. Not a mirror of your face, but of your inner state. Think about how a fire moves. It is never static. It is constantly changing, reaching, twisting, now flaring brightly, now calming to a gentle glow. Isn't this just like your own inner world? Your thoughts, emotions, passions, they never stand still. They flare up like the flame and die down like the embers. In one moment, you can feel a surge of inspiration, bright and all-consuming, and in another, a quiet, warm stillness. The fire shows you this truth about yourself. It doesn't judge this constant flow. It simply is. And by watching it, you give yourself permission to also just be with all of your changes and inner movements. The modern world demands consistency from us. We are told to be predictable, to be stable. We are taught to hide our inner fluctuations behind a mask of reliability. But the fire whispers a different truth. It reminds you that to be alive is to be in motion. To be alive is to change. Gazing at a fire is an act of accepting your own nature. That is why it is so calming. It's a return home to your natural rhythm. The ancients knew this intuitively. In many cultures, there was a practice you could call fire gazing. This wasn't just a form of leisure. It was a meditation. It was a way to connect with the divine. People would sit before a fire not to receive answers in words or visions, but to quiet the noise in their heads. The noise of other people's opinions, of social expectations, of their own fears. And in that silence created by the steady crackle and dance of the flame, they could finally hear the quiet voice of their soul. The flame acts as a point of focus. It is dynamic enough to hold your attention, preventing the mind from wandering into anxieties about the past or future. And at the same time, it is constant enough to create a feeling of stability and safety. It's a perfect paradox. In its movement, you find stillness. In its warmth, you find comfort. The fire creates a sacred space simply by its presence. When a campfire is lit, an invisible temple forms around it. Inside this circle of light, the world seems simpler. Conversations become deeper. Silence becomes comfortable. Have you ever noticed how people talk differently around a campfire? The walls come down. People share stories, fears, and hopes they would never speak in the bright light of day. Why? Because the fire creates an atmosphere of trust. It reminds us of ancient times when the tribe's survival depended on the central hearth. The fire was the heart of the community. It provided warmth, protection from predators, and light in the darkness. It was the center around which people gathered to share food, stories, and simply to be together. This memory is written in our DNA. When you sit by a fire, your soul remembers this feeling of belonging, this feeling of safety, this feeling of community. That is why loneliness feels so sharp in a cold, sterile world, and yet dissolves so easily in the warmth of a fire. The fire is the antidote to the isolation our modern world has created. It literally and metaphorically brings us back to one another. In ancient Rome, the fire was so sacred that it was kept perpetually burning in the temple of Vesta, the goddess of the home and hearth. The priestesses, the Vestal virgins, were tasked with ensuring this fire never went out. If it did, it was considered a terrible omen for all of Rome. Why? Because this fire symbolized more than just the power of the empire. It symbolized the heart, the soul of the community. As long as the fire burned, the heart of Rome was alive. This wasn't mere superstition. It was a deep understanding that a community, like a person, is alive only as long as its inner fire burns. A shared purpose, shared values, a shared care for one another. The next time you sit by a fire, try a small experiment. Don't just look at it, feel it. Feel its warmth on your skin, hear its sound, smell its scent, and allow your inner noise to quiet down. Just observe the flame. Don't look for answers. Don't wait for revelations, just be with it. And notice what happens inside of you. You may find that the fire isn't just burning in front of you, it begins to burn with you. It becomes an extension of your own consciousness, and you, an extension of its dance. This is the first step to understanding that the boundary between you and the world is not as solid as it seems, and fire is the portal through which you can feel it. Section 2, the inner fire, the spark of consciousness. Now let us turn our gaze from the outer fire to the inner one. Ancient sages all over the world spoke of the same thing. The true sacred fire is the one that burns within you. What we see as a physical flame is only its external manifestation, a symbol of a much deeper reality. This inner fire has many names: spirit, consciousness, life force, soul. But the essence is the same. Inside every living being, there is an unquenchable spark of divine light. In the Vedic tradition of India, this inner fire is called Agni. Agni is not just the god of fire. He is the fire, and he exists on 3 levels. There is the physical fire we use for rituals and cooking. There is the atmospheric fire, lightning. And then there is the most important fire, the inner fire that burns in every person as the fire of digestion, the fire of thought, the fire of consciousness. To the Vedic sages, Agni was the messenger, the mediator between humans and the gods. Why? Because it was through kindling one's own inner fire, through purifying one's thoughts and intentions, that a person could communicate with higher realms. Your consciousness is that very Agni. It is the force within you that strives upward toward light, toward understanding. Think of it this way. What is a thought? Where does it come from? It's a flash, a spark of light in the darkness of your mind. What is inspiration? It's a sudden combustion when scattered ideas connect and create something new. What is passion or love? It is a fire that warms you from within, that drives you, that compels you to act. All the highest expressions of your being are connected to the metaphor of fire. We say, "He is burning with desire. She has a fire in her eyes like a spark of genius." These phrases are not just poetry. They are echoes of an ancient knowledge that our life force is a form of fire. The Gnostics, the mystics of early Christianity, spoke of a divine spark trapped within every human being. They believed that humanity has forgotten its true origin. We live in the material world as if in a dream, unaware that we hold a fragment of God Himself, a spark of light from the realm of light. The entire purpose of the spiritual life, in their view, was to remember this spark, to awaken it. The awakening of this spark is gnosis, knowledge. Not intellectual knowledge from books, but a direct, personal experience of one's own divine nature. This spark is your true self. It is the part of you that watches your thoughts, your feelings, your life's dramas. It is the silent witness that is always present. The modern world does everything it can to ensure you never meet this spark. It buries it under layers of distraction, noise, duties, and fears. It wants you to identify with your job, your status, your problems, anything but your own inner light. Why? Because a person who has connected with their inner fire becomes free. They cannot be manipulated. They cannot be intimidated. They draw their strength not from the external world, but from within. So how do we awaken this fire? The alchemists of Europe knew one of the ways. Their work, often misunderstood as an attempt to create material gold, was in fact a profound spiritual practice. Their motto was solve et coagula, dissolve and coagulate. To dissolve meant to break down the false self, the personality built on fear and ego. This is a painful process. It means facing your shadows, your weaknesses, your illusions. This is the alchemical fire that burns away everything that is unnecessary, everything that is not real. And only after the false had been burned to ashes, to a pure essence, could the process of coagulation begin. From these ashes, from this purified substance, the alchemists could crystallize their true self, their gold. The gold they sought was a symbol of awakened consciousness, shining and incorruptible. This entire process of transformation was impossible without fire, but not the external fire of the laboratory, but the internal fire of discipline, awareness, and will. You engage in this alchemy every day without even realizing it. Every time you face a difficulty, a pain, a challenge, this is your alchemical fire. You have a choice to let this fire consume you by sinking into self-pity and despair, or to use it as fuel for transformation. You can ask yourself, what is this trying to show me? What part of me needs to be burned away so that I can become stronger, wiser? Pain, when approached with awareness, becomes a purifying fire. It burns away your pride, your attachments, your naive ideas about the world, and it leaves behind purity and strength. Your inner fire is also your intuition. It is that gut feeling. It is knowing without words and without logic. It is the quiet whisper that tells you, go this way. Don't do that. Speak the truth. We so often ignore this voice because our loud, rational mind screams, that's not logical. That's risky. What will people think? But the inner fire does not operate by the laws of logic. It operates by the laws of truth, your own personal, sacred truth. Learning to trust this fire is the greatest art. It means learning to trust yourself at the deepest level. Feel it right now. Take a breath and feel the warmth in the center of your chest, in your solar plexus. Your spark lives there. It may be small like an ember, barely glowing under the ashes of worry and fatigue. Or it may be a bright flame. Its size doesn't matter. What matters is that it is there. It always has been, and it always will be. It is your connection to eternity. It is the light you brought into this world, and your most important task is to not let it go out, to protect it, to nurture it, and one day to let it burn so brightly that it illuminates not only your own path, but the path of those who walk beside you in the dark. Of course, here are the next two sections of the script, written in English as requested. Part 3, Fire as the Great Purifier. Letting go of what weighs you down. We have spoken of the fire within, but we must be honest. Often we feel that this fire is buried. It's choked by a thick, heavy ash. This ash is made of our past, our regrets, our sorrows, the words we wish we'd never said, the actions we wish we could take back. It's the weight of old identities, of versions of ourselves that no longer fit. We carry this ash with us everywhere, and we wonder why we feel so heavy, so tired. We wonder why our inner light feels so dim. Ancient cultures understood this. They knew that for a fire to burn brightly, the old spent fuel must be cleared away. This is why fire has always been seen as the great purifier. Its power isn't just in creating, but in cleansing. Think of a farmer clearing a field by burning the old stubble. It seems destructive, an act of violence. But the farmer knows that the fire returns vital nutrients to the soil, creating a richer, more fertile ground for new life to grow. The fire doesn't destroy the field, it renews it. This is a powerful metaphor for your own life. The purification we speak of is not about becoming morally perfect or sinless. That is a misunderstanding that has caused great suffering. The true purification by fire is the act of letting go. It is the conscious decision to stop carrying the dead weight of your past. It is the willingness to place your mistakes, your shame, and your grief into the alchemical fire and allow them to be transformed. This is perhaps one of the hardest things a human being can do. Our minds love to hold on. Our ego identifies with our stories of suffering. It tells us, this pain is who I am. This trauma defines me. We replay old hurts over and over, like a chilling story told around a campfire, forgetting that we have the power to stop telling it. To purify yourself with fire means to find the courage to interrupt that story. It means looking at your past, honoring the lessons it taught you, and then releasing your emotional attachment to it. You are not the things that happened to you. You are the consciousness that experienced them. Consider the myth of the phoenix, the magnificent bird that lives for 1,000 years. When its time comes, it doesn't just die. It builds a nest of sacred spices and, facing the sun, it sings a beautiful song as it is consumed by flames. And from those ashes, a new phoenix is born, young and powerful, to live another 1,000 years. The myth is not about avoiding death. It is about the necessity of it. The phoenix understands that it cannot become new until the old has been completely turned to ash. It must be willing to let its old self burn. What is your nest of spices? What are the old beliefs, the old habits, the old relationships that you know it is time to let go of? You must be the one to build the pyre. No one can do this for you. This is a sacred and personal ritual. It might mean writing down everything you want to release on a piece of paper and safely burning it, watching the smoke carry it away. It might mean finally having a conversation you've been avoiding for years, speaking your truth with compassion and finality. It might simply be a quiet moment of meditation where you visualize placing your burdens into a great fire and giving them over to be transformed. The act itself is less important than the intention behind it. The intention is, I am no longer willing to be defined by this. I release it with gratitude for what it taught me, and I now choose to be free. When you do this, you are not destroying a part of yourself. You are liberating the energy that was trapped in holding on to the past. All the energy you spent on regret, on anger, on grief, that energy is now freed up. It can now be used to fuel your inner fire, to feed the new growth in your life. Nature shows us this principle everywhere. A great forest fire seems like a catastrophe. We see towering trees, hundreds of years old, turn to black skeletons. It looks like the end. But ecologists will tell you it is a vital part of the forest life cycle. The fire clears out the dense, overgrown underbrush, allowing sunlight to reach the forest floor for the first time in decades. It cracks open seeds of certain trees, like the giant sequoia, that can only germinate after being exposed to intense heat. The fire clears away disease and pests. It creates a mosaic of habitats where a greater diversity of life can flourish. What looks like death is actually a catalyst for a more vibrant, resilient life. Your own life is like this forest. There are times when your inner world becomes overgrown with old patterns and anxieties. It feels dark, tangled, and suffocating. A forest fire might appear in your life, a crisis, a breakup, a job loss. Our first instinct is to see it as a tragedy. But what if it is also a purification? What if life is simply trying to clear out the underbrush for you? What if it is trying to let the sun in? What if it is cracking open seeds of potential within you that could never have grown in the old shadowy conditions? This is not to say the fire doesn't hurt. It does. It is painful to be stripped bare. It is terrifying to stand in the ashes of what you thought was your life. But it is in this space of emptiness, of surrender, that true renewal becomes possible. Surrender does not mean giving up. It means giving over. It means you stop fighting the reality of the situation and you allow a higher intelligence, whether you call it God, the universe, or your own deeper self, to do its work. You release your grip, and in doing so, you are finally open to receive the grace that follows the fire. So look at the parts of your life that feel heavy, the memories that sting, the resentments that curdle in your heart. Do not hate them. Do not push them away. See them for what they are: old, dead wood. They have served their purpose. Thank them. And then, with courage and love for yourself, place them in the fire. Watch them burn. Watch them turn into the light and heat of your own liberated spirit. This is the sacred act of purification. It is the path to becoming light. Section 4. The alchemical promise. Turning suffering into your greatest strength. This process of purification leads us to the heart of alchemy. We mentioned the alchemical fire before, but now we must go deeper into its chamber of secrets. For the alchemists, the great work, the creation of the philosopher's stone, always began with a stage called the nigredo, or the blackening. This was the stage where the raw material, the prima materia, was subjected to an intense, consuming fire, until it was reduced to a uniform black ash. It was a stage of death, of decay, of absolute despair. It was the dark night of the soul. This is the most misunderstood part of any spiritual journey. We seek the light. We want bliss, peace, and enlightenment. We do everything we can to avoid the darkness, the blackening. We see suffering as a failure, a sign that we are doing something wrong. But the alchemists taught the opposite. They taught that the nigredo was not an obstacle to the great work. It was the essential first step. Without it, no transformation was possible. You cannot create gold from unrefined ore. You must first burn away all the dross. What does this mean for you? It means that the most difficult, painful periods of your life, the times of depression, of loss, of feeling utterly lost and broken, are not punishments. They are the nigredo. They are your soul's alchemy at work. You have been placed in the alchemical furnace. The fire is high, and your ego, your old identity, everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world, is being burned down to black ash. It is a terrifying, disorienting, and profoundly lonely experience. And yet, within this experience lies the greatest promise. The alchemist knew that this black ash was not dead. It was pregnant with potential. It was the fertile soil from which the new golden consciousness could arise. Your suffering is not meaningless. Your pain is not a cosmic mistake. It is the very raw material for your greatest strength. The fire of your suffering is breaking you down, yes, but it is breaking you down to your absolute essence. It is stripping away everything that is not truly you. Think of the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The philosophy behind it is that the piece is more beautiful and valuable because it was broken. The lines of repair are not hidden. They are illuminated in gold, becoming a celebrated part of the object's history. Your life is like this piece of pottery. The fires of life will create cracks in you. You will be broken. The promise of alchemy is not that you can avoid this breaking. The promise is that you can learn to fill those cracks with gold. Your deepest wounds, when healed with awareness and self-compassion, become the source of your greatest gifts. The person who has known profound betrayal can develop an unshakable capacity for authentic connection. The person who has faced the depths of despair can become a beacon of hope for others. The person who has been shattered by loss can learn to love with a depth and presence that the unbroken can never know. Your scars become your golden seams. Your suffering, when integrated, becomes your wisdom. This is the ultimate reversal of perspective. The world teaches you to hide your wounds, to be ashamed of your brokenness. Alchemy teaches you to honor it as the crucible of your becoming. The key is how you relate to the fire. When you are in the midst of the negredo, the temptation is to curse the fire, to try to escape the furnace. But the initiate, the alchemist of their own soul, learns to stay with the process. They learn to endure the heat. They learn to trust that this burning has a purpose, even when they cannot see it. This requires immense faith, not faith in an external God who will save you, but faith in the transformative process itself. It is the trust that the caterpillar must have as it dissolves into goo inside the chrysalis, trusting that it will emerge as a butterfly. It is the trust of the seed, buried in the dark earth, that it will one day break through into the light. This is an active trust, a courageous surrender. So when you find yourself in the dark, when the fires of life are burning high, remember this: you are not being destroyed. You are being unmade. You are being returned to your essential self so that you can be remade, stronger and more true. Do not rush the process. Do not numb the pain. Be present with the blackening. Feel the heat. Know that you are in the crucible. And know that this fire is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. It is the fire of love, so fierce that it is willing to burn away everything that stands between you and your own magnificent golden soul. This is the promise of alchemy. The lead of your suffering will not just be removed, it will be transformed into the gold of your true being. Of course, here are the final 2 sections of the main content, written in English as requested. Part 5, the eternal flame, the unchanging core of your being. We have walked through the fire of purification and witnessed the alchemical promise of transformation. But now we arrive at the deepest mystery of all. After all the burning, all the changing, all the breaking down and rebuilding, what is left? What is it that endures? The answer lies in the concept of the eternal flame. All around the world, humanity has created monuments with an eternal flame. They burn for the unknown soldier, for fallen heroes, for victims of tragedy. Why do we do this? What is this deep instinct to keep a single light burning, day and night through sun and storm? We think it is an act of remembrance for others, and it is. But on a much deeper level, it is a symbol for a truth within you. That eternal flame burning out there in the world is a mirror for the flame that burns inside you, a flame that can never be extinguished. This is a truth so profound that it can be difficult for the mind to grasp. Your mind identifies with what changes. It identifies with your body, which grows and ages. It identifies with your emotions, which shift like the weather. It identifies with your thoughts, which are a ceaseless river of impressions and ideas. It identifies with your personality, the collection of habits, beliefs, and defenses you have built up since childhood. But you are not any of those things. Those things are the fuel. They are the wood that is being consumed in the fire of life. But you are the flame itself. In the ancient wisdom of the Upanishads, this is called the Atman. The Atman is the universal self, the true essence, which is present within every living being. It is described as being untouched by the events of the world, just as the sky is untouched by the clouds that pass through it. Your Atman, your eternal flame, was not born when your body was born, and it will not die when your body dies. It is changeless, timeless, and indestructible. It is the silent, ever-present witness to the entire movie of your life. Think about it. There is a part of you that has been there through every single experience. It was there when you were a small child, looking at the world with wonder. It was there during your awkward teenage years. It was there when your heart was first broken. It is there now, as you listen to these words. The scenery has changed, the actors have come and gone, the plot has twisted and turned. But the witness, the screen upon which it all played out, has remained the same. That is you. That is the eternal flame. The personality, the ego, is afraid of this. It's terrified of its own non-existence. It clings to its stories, its dramas, its identity, because that's all it knows. The idea of a fire that purifies and transforms it feels like a threat of annihilation. But the mystics and sages tell us that what is annihilated is only the illusion. The fire doesn't destroy the gold. It only burns away the dross that hides its true brilliance. The spiritual journey is not about becoming someone new. It is about unbecoming everything that you are not, so that you can realize who you have been all along. This eternal flame is your core of absolute peace. It is the deep, unshakable stillness that you can sometimes touch in meditation, or in a moment of profound awe in nature. It is the source of the unconditional love you feel when you look at a newborn baby or a starry night sky. It is the quiet wisdom of your intuition, that inner knowing that requires no proof. The world cannot give you this peace, and it cannot take it away. It can only be covered up. It can only be forgotten. We forget it because we are so identified with the chaotic dance of the outer fire, the drama of life. We get lost in the flickering flames of our desires and fears. We mistake the heat and the noise for who we are. But even in the heart of the most violent fire, there is a point of stillness. The purpose of all the practices, meditation, prayer, self-inquiry, is to shift your identification from the flickering flames of the personality to the steady eternal light of your true being. This is why, in moments of great crisis, people sometimes report a profound sense of calm washing over them. In the instant that the thinking mind freezes, when it has no answer and no escape, the ego temporarily steps aside. And in that gap, the light of the eternal flame shines through. For a moment, they are no longer a small, frightened person. They are pure awareness, acting with a clarity and precision they didn't know they possessed. They touch their true nature. You do not have to wait for a crisis to experience this. You can choose to connect with it. The eternal flame is not something you have to achieve or earn. It is your birthright. It is the very essence of your consciousness. The simple fact that you are aware, that you can perceive these words in the world around you, is proof of its existence. The light of awareness is the light of the eternal flame. Let this understanding sink deep into your bones. Beneath all the anxiety, all the self-doubt, all the noise of the world, there is a part of you that is already whole, already perfect, already at peace. It has never been wounded. It has never been lost. It cannot be improved upon. Your only work is to return your attention to it, to remember it, to rest in it, to allow its silent light to guide your life. When you begin to live from this place, your relationship with the world changes. You no longer seek validation from the outside because you are rooted in the unshakable truth of your own being. You no longer fear the fires of life because you know that they cannot touch the real you. You are the fire that burns but is not consumed. Part 6. Tending your inner hearth. Practical ways to keep the fire alive. To know that this eternal flame exists is the beginning, but to live from that knowing is the journey. This is not an abstract philosophy, it is a living practice. Just as the Vestal virgins tended the sacred fire of Rome, you must become the tender of your own inner hearth. A fire that is not tended will eventually be smothered by the ashes of neglect. So how do we keep this inner fire bright and clear in a world that seems designed to extinguish it? The first and most important practice is silence. Your inner flame speaks in a language of stillness. Its voice is a quiet whisper, easily drowned out by the constant noise of modern life. You must intentionally create pockets of silence in your day. This doesn't have to mean an hour of formal meditation. It can be 5 minutes. It can be turning off the car radio during your commute. It can be waking up just a little earlier to sit with a cup of tea before the world wakes up. In these moments of silence, you are not doing anything. You are simply creating a space for your inner self to be heard. You are clearing the ash. You are letting the fire breathe. The second practice is conscious connection with nature. The natural world is a direct reflection of the divine intelligence. When you walk in a forest, sit by an ocean, or look up at the stars, you are removing yourself from the artificial world of the human mind and plugging directly into the source. Nature doesn't hurry, it doesn't worry. It simply is. Its rhythms are grounding, its beauty is healing. Spending time in nature is a powerful way to quiet the ego and remember that you are part of something much, much larger than your personal problems. It's like placing your small, sputtering candle next to a great bonfire. Your own light naturally grows stronger in its presence. The third practice is to follow the heat. What in your life right now genuinely feels warm to you? What creates a feeling of excitement, of passion, of flow? It could be a hobby, a creative pursuit, a subject you love to learn about, a way you love to help others. This is your inner fire giving you a direction. It's saying, here, this is the fuel I want. This will make me burn brighter. We are often told to follow a practical, logical path, but the soul's path is one of heat, of passion. When you engage with what you truly love, you are feeding your inner fire. It ceases to be a duty and becomes a joy. Pay attention to the quiet sparks of interest and give them your attention. A small spark, when given fuel and oxygen, can become a blazing fire. The fourth practice is mindful awareness of your breath. Your breath is the most direct link between your body and your spirit. It is the bellows for your inner fire. When you are anxious, your breath is shallow and quick. When you are calm, it is deep and slow. You can consciously use your breath to change your inner state. When you feel overwhelmed or lost in thought, simply bring your attention to your breath. Feel the air enter your body and feel it leave. Don't try to change it, just observe it. This simple act anchors you firmly in the present moment, the only place where your true self lives. Each conscious breath is like a gentle puff of air on a glowing ember, keeping it alive and ready. The fifth practice is to choose your company wisely. The people you surround yourself with have a profound effect on your inner state. Some people are like wet wood. They are draining, negative, and tend to smoke up the room with their complaints and fears. They dampen your fire. Others are like dry, seasoned oak. They are supportive, inspiring, and their presence helps your own flame burn more brightly. Seek out those who are also trying to tend their own inner fire. Create or join a community where you can have conversations that matter, where you can be vulnerable and share your journey without judgment. A gathering of people with shared intention creates a collective hearth, a bonfire that can warm many. These are not grand, dramatic gestures. They are small, simple, daily choices. Tending your inner fire is not about waiting for a lightning strike of enlightenment. It is about the quiet, consistent practice of clearing the ash, adding the right fuel, and protecting the flame from the winds of the world. It is the steady devotion of a lighthouse keeper who knows the importance of keeping the light burning, not just for themselves, but for all those navigating the dark and stormy seas. This is your sacred responsibility and your greatest joy, to be a keeper of the flame. So where does this journey through the smoke and embers leave us? We have walked a long path tonight, from the simple act of gazing into a campfire to the very heart of your eternal nature. And now at the end, you might be looking for a solution, a final answer, a map that tells you exactly what to do next. But the deepest truth of the sacred fire is that it does not offer solutions because it does not see you as a problem to be solved. The world gives you problems and sells you solutions. It tells you that your anxiety is a disorder to be medicated, your sadness is a malfunction to be fixed, your longing for meaning is a distraction to be ignored. It treats you like a machine that is broken down. But you are not a machine. You are a living, breathing fire. And fire doesn't break down, it simply transforms what it touches. The true shift, the only solution that matters, is not in finding a new technique or a magic bullet. It is in changing your entire relationship with your own experience. It's the shift from knowing to remembering. You can know that a fire's hot, but you only truly understand it when you feel its warmth. In the same way, you can listen to all of these words and understand them intellectually. But the real transformation happens when you begin to feel them as a living reality within you. This means feeling the fire of your anger, not as a flaw, but as a signal that a boundary has been crossed. It means feeling the waters of your grief, not as a weakness, but as the purifying rain that washes the soul. It means seeing the periods of darkness and confusion in your life, not as failures, but as the sacred Negretto stage, the necessary blackening before the gold can emerge. It means remembering that the challenges you face are not obstacles on your path. They are the path. They are the sacred fuel given to you by life, perfectly designed to burn away what is false and reveal what is true. There is nothing to fix. There is only a reality to be recognized. The reality is that your very consciousness is a spark of the divine fire. Your heartbreaks are the cracking of a seed that allows a new strength to grow. Your moments of quiet joy are the warmth of the inner hearth. This is not poetry, it is the physics of the soul. So the invitation here is not to do more, but to be more present with the fire of this very moment. When you feel lost, instead of asking, "How do I escape this?" ask, "What is this fire trying to show me? What is it trying to burn away?" When you feel joy, instead of clinging to it and fearing its departure, ask, "How can I honor this warmth? How can I let it radiate through me?" This shift in questioning changes everything. It moves you from the position of a victim of your life to the position of a sacred alchemist who sees every experience as a precious ingredient in the great work of their own becoming. Don't seek to extinguish the difficult fires. Learn to tend them. Learn to understand their nature. Give them space. Give them air. Give them your compassionate attention. And you will find that the same fire you thought was destroying you is actually forging you. It is making you resilient. It is making you wise. It is making you golden. That is the only promise you ever need. Remember, this journey is yours and yours alone, yet you do not walk it in isolation. Every soul who has ever sought the light, every heart that has ever ached with a longing for home, walks beside you in the great, unseen fellowship of seekers. Your struggles are not a sign of your inadequacy. They are the marks of your courage. It takes courage to keep searching for light in a world that often celebrates the dark. Your inner truth, that quiet voice you hear in moments of stillness, is the most important guide you will ever have. Trust it, honor it, protect it. Even when the world tells you that you are wrong, that you are naive, that you should be more realistic. The reality of your soul is more real than any fact or figure. Your feelings are not random, they are messengers. Your intuition is not fantasy, it is the wisdom of the universe speaking directly to you. And even if right now, after all this, it still feels difficult, even if the ashes feel thick and the flame feels impossibly far away, know that this is simply part of the path. The darkest hour is just before the dawn. The coldest part of the night is when the fire has burned down to its essential embers, gathering its strength to be reborn with the morning sun. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. You are exactly where you need to be. When all the words have faded and only the silence remains, what will you remember about the fire you carry inside?